Hey everyone. So, I'm doing something a little different. As you can tell, I am going to be doing an animated movie instead of a Marvel movie for this episode. I think it only seems fair, especially since I'm uploading this on an exact important day when Pinocchio was released in theaters 85 years ago. Feels fair to talk about this film on the film's 85th anniversary, but don't worry. After this, my next commentary will be about Spider-Man, released in 2002. But anyway, Pinocchio is currently available to watch on these platforms as of this upload. But if you're old-fashioned, you can also watch Pinocchio on DVD or video cassette if you're old-fashioned while listening to this commentary. I remember having a video cassette of my own. But anyway, sit back, relax, let your conscience be your guide, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Commentary Companions. I'm your host, Tony Garcia, and today we'll be doing a commentary on Pinocchio, specifically the 1940 animated version released by Walt Disney Pictures in honor of the film's 85th anniversary. Now, I have a total soft spot for this film. I mean, this is one of the classics that I grew up watching as a child on a video cassette. So yeah, I am definitely old school. And it's really exciting to be doing a commentary for this. Now, as I said before, this film was released on this day, January 23rd, 85 years ago. And, well, it was critically acclaimed and was a game changer for Disney in many ways. It was actually the third animated movie to ever be released in America. And I say this because, well, while Snow White was the first animated movie to be released in America, well, the second film to be made after Snow White was a film called Gulliver's Travels by the Fleischer Brothers, released in 1939 for Paramount Pictures. And Pinocchio became the third American animated movie to be made, and Disney's second animated feature, if that makes sense. And, well, Pinocchio was a groundbreaker in its use of effects in animation. And I'll tell you how. Now, the songs and music were composed by Paul J. Smith and Lee Harline. Now, they actually have collaborated with Disney several times. Paul J. Smith, one of the film's composers, was a frequent collaborator at Disney, composing music for various shorts and even Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. He was also a violinist and played the instrument for the first Fantasia movie. He and Lee Harline composed the song When You Wish Upon a Star, and I kid you not, the song was this close to not being featured in the final cut, but thankfully, it was. Thank goodness. Jiminy Cricket is voiced by Cliff Edwards, and Edwards' nickname was Ukulele Ike, and he was a jazz musician also, but Jiminy Cricket was one of his most definitive roles. Not only that, but Cliff Edwards was also known for introducing the song Singin' in the Rain in 1929 with the Bronx Sisters, and it was quite popular back in the day. Now, like I said, Pinocchio was groundbreaking in its use of effects in animation, giving realistic movement to rain, water, lightning, smoke, and shadow, as well as movement of vehicles and machinery. By all accounts, Pinocchio is a technical marvel in animation, and to this day, the traditional animation still holds up, in my opinion. Pinocchio was the first animated movie to ever win the honor of Best Original Score and Best Original Song at the Oscars. So yeah, Pinocchio is a two-time Oscar winner, and it was a big deal back in the day because, well, back then, animated shorts were the only thing that got held in high regard. But finally, Pinocchio was the groundbreaker that said, oh, we're going to win Oscars today. The film's other composer was Lee Harline, who worked on lyrics with Ned Washington. So, Ned Washington contributed to the song When You Wish Upon a Star. Harline and Smith also collaborated on Snow White, like I said, and Lee Harline had worked on various live action movies and musicals. Some of them about baseball player Lou Gehrig, to name a few. I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to do it justice. But yeah. Now, Pinocchio was based on a book by Italian writer Carlo Collodi, and Pinocchio was published in 1883. So by the time the animated movie was made, the Pinocchio book had entered the public domain. Fun fact, Figaro is voiced by Clarence Nash. And his name may not sound familiar to you today, but he was a frequent collaborator at Disney. In fact, Clarence Nash was best known for being the original voice of Donald Duck. And I just love that duck. And Clarence is very good when it comes to doing animal sounds. He was pretty much the Frank Welker of his day, doing animal sounds. It amazes me that this is the voice of Donald Duck voicing Figaro the cat. That friend was a, excuse me? Roll credits. Meow. Meow. Oh, that's cute. Bad hiding place. Now, like I said, the songs were also co written by Ned Washington. Other songs that Ned Washington wrote for other films and TV shows were, well, he wrote the lyrics for Baby Mine, Pink Elephants on Parade, and When I See an Elephant Fly for Dumbo, the 310 to Yuma for the titular 1957 Western 310 to Yuma, and the Rawhide theme song for the 1958 Western TV show of the same name. So yeah, he contributed to Hit 'em Up, 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 Rawhide! Yeah, you might not know what Rawhide is, but you might have listened to that Rawhide theme song at one point. Ooh, perspective mirror. Oh, well, hello. Oh, whoop. Now, imagine all the time Geppetto took to make all those clocks. I mean, that is impressive. And actually very creative. Talk about a time loop. It's natural instinct. Once it's time to go to bed, everyone gets tired. Now, Geppetto was voiced by Christian Rubb, and Christian Rubb was born in Austria and immigrated to America eventually in the 1910s. He was known for his work in films to the late 1910s to the early 50s, and he was pretty much a character actor in his day. Other films that Christian Rubb was best known for were films like The Belle of New York, The Trial of Vivian Ware, The Man from Yesterday, Humanity, Man of Two Worlds, Little Man, What Now? And various others. Oh, including an uncredited part in Dracula's Daughter. So yeah, he was a character actor of his day, but a lot of people know him best for voicing Geppetto. I know I do. I didn't even know that he was Austrian up until now, but his Austrian accent certainly suits the character of Geppetto. Did you ever hear the silly theory that Dopey is actually Geppetto? The theory is that, Dopey wasn't a dwarf, but he was actually a mute child, unable to speak. But once, puberty started kicking in, he left the other six dwarves and moved to Germany and became Geppetto. That's kind of a ridiculous theory, but it's silly. I get it due to the similar design, but I think that's just a coincidence. What now? All right. I'll do it. And so we had the cliche of the wishing star. I mean, it is a cute, sentimental cliche, a trope we all love. Jiminy Cricket would be excellent at CinemaSins. Yeah, you can see where I get all my references from. Dang, Jiminy must have super hearing. And somehow that worked. And not just any fairy, the Blue Fairy, who's voiced by Evelyn Venable. Evelyn Venable has been known for many dramas back in the 1930s, her most definitive role being the role of Grazia in the 1934 romantic drama film Death Takes a Holiday. She is one of the number of women who have been suggested to have served as the model for the Columbia Pictures Torch Lady from 1928 to 1936. Not only that, but live-action references for the Blue Fairy were provided by Marge Champion, who served as the live-action reference to the titular heroine in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Pinocchio is voiced by 12-year-old Dick Jones, and until 2014, Jones was the last living cast member of the movie, who was not only the youngest but also the last living, up until his untimely death in 2014. But Pinocchio was very much his definitive role, despite being in B-movie westerns at the time. Never seen a When I See a Cricket Turn Red. Now, Jiminy Cricket was a phrase used as an exclamation denoting surprise or bewilderment. Very much 1930s slang. You can even hear Dorothy Gale say Jiminy Cricket in The Wizard of Oz. It's a minced oath used as an exclamation to express surprise or bewilderment. It's at least since 1803 it's a substitute for Jesus Christ. Heck, the Seven Dwarfs exclaimed Jiminy Crickets in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Heck, Mickey Mouse even said it in Brave Little Tailor. Of course, the cricket never had a definitive name in Collodi's book. Thump. Me trying to whistle when I was a boy. Huh, a parlor trick. Womp womp. Ouch. Oh no. You know Geppetto ain't messing around when he has a gun. Makes me think of Pooh Bear with a gun. Trigger Happy Geppetto. Trigger Happy Geppetto. Yep, Geppetto thinks he's going mad. Before you go. Something. You know, Geppetto's taking this well. Then again, he must be a guy who believes in wishes and fairies. I mean, that's nice. The question is, how recent did he get Cleo? Given the lifespan of fishes. you are such a flirt, Jiminy. Fire bad. Whoop, and he's out of water. Oh, poor Cleo. Well, let's hope Geppetto doesn't need to smoke again. I really had to give Dick Jones a lot of credit. I mean, he really does do a great job emulating the innocence that Pinocchio pretty much at first has. And he really does do a great job portraying a wooden puppet with the conscience of a young boy, an innocent young boy. Now, Pinocchio actually took 2 years to make, and those 2 years really do pay off. It's just a shame that when Pinocchio was first theatrically released, I mean, the film was a financial failure, but not for the reasons you think. It wasn't because people thought it was bad. Oh, no. But this was because World War II was raging on in Europe and Asia, and this prevented Pinocchio from releasing even further. So, sadly, the film was a financial failure because of this. But after a 1945 re release, the film eventually became much more of a financial success. And thank goodness for that. I'm glad to know that, it became much more successful for that. I certainly do wish Disney would do more re releases of their classic work. Because I would love to see a film like Pinocchio or even Cinderella in theaters, you know? Unless they make a school for cats. Now, Honest John was voiced by Walter Catlett, who was a comedian of his day. He made a career of playing excitable, meddlesome, temperamental, and officious blowhards. He was even a Broadway stage actor at one point. Oof, using outdated slurs. Now, I should also point out that Honest John's sidekick, Gideon the Cat, who's very much a mute character and served as the comic relief, was originally supposed to speak. He was originally intended to be voiced by Mel Blanc, who was best known for who is basically the original voice of Bugs Bunny and many other beloved Looney Tunes characters. But at the last minute, they decided to make Gideon a mute character. But Mel Blanc did provide the hiccups for Gideon, and well, yeah, this was one of the few times Mel Blanc ever did a cartoon for Disney, up until Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It does feel funny that about this because Roger Rabbit was directed by Robert Zemeckis, who years later would do the live-action remake to Pinocchio, which I probably won't see. Says you. Oh, that is just mean. Eating his apple. I'll say. Oof. That could have been more fatal. Wrong cat to shush. He's not afraid. Yeah, that's what we call irony. Well, if the hammer can put Thomas John in the hat, then clearly it can get him out. Well, that didn't work. Now, Stromboli was voiced by Charles Judels, who was a Dutch born actor. He was born in Amsterdam. And other stuff that he did was for films like My Old Dutch, The Big Party, Oh Sailor Behave, Captain Thunder. A lot of these were 1930s movies and 1930s shorts. Mr. Cinderella, and various others. Uh-oh. Remember when they used No Strings on Me for the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer? I do. Oh, now Jiminy's interested. Well, Pinocchio's certainly adaptable. Oh, poor Jiminy. So Cleo was also voiced by Clarence Nash. I didn't even know this up until I did my research. How is Cleo not disturbed by the fact that Figaro wanted to eat another fish? Unless that fish was Cleo's ex husband. For a Dutch actor, I gotta give Charles Judel's credit for doing a pretty convincing Italian accent and doing some pretty funny Italian gibberish. I can see where Ursula got her moves from. Yep, that's when Pinocchio realizes he should have listened to his conscience. He done mucked up. Not a great plan. Speaking of the remake, I remember when it was first announced, and at one point, Robert Downey Jr. was considered for the role of Geppetto. Of course, that never came to fruition, and, uh, Tom Hanks ended up playing Geppetto. Yeah, you would need a key for that. That's what we call an echo, Jiminy. And he was this close to reuniting with his son. I gotta say, Dick Jones and Cliff Edwards really do have good chemistry as Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket, respectively. And so we get to see the old nose growing every time he lies. Whoop! And Blue is willing to play along with it. I mean, they were going to. He was going to. And the birds are like, nope. And you know, I remember watching Shrek 2, and they parodied this trope. I thought it was pretty funny how Pinocchio intentionally told lies to help Shrek, Donkey, and Puss in Boots. And of course, it's like, I'm wearing ladies' underwear. Well, are you? Well, I most certainly am not. And then, boop. And I also love how Aladdin even referenced Pinocchio with the whole genie believing Aladdin was a liar, like the titular character. But yeah, that is definitely one of the memorable things about this film, among others. My question is, what about Stromboli? Did the Blue Fairy knock him out or something? Huh. Wow, Stromboli must be oblivious to everything around him if he doesn't even notice the Blue Fairy. Ooh, Red Lobster. Long before the real Red Lobster opened. And that's the one recording of Mel Blanc. A miserable amount. Now, Stromboli isn't the only character that Judel's voiced in Pinocchio. He also voiced a coachman, who's pretty much speaks with a Cockney accent. So I didn't know this, and he does a really good job giving distinct accents to both characters, to where you can't even recognize him. Pretty cool. Judel's is definitely the most underrated performance, and doesn't get enough credit. It's a shame that, classic Disney films didn't credit the voice actors at the time. And I'm really glad to pretty much acknowledge the work that these actors have done for this commentary. Ooh, Pleasure Island has a bad reputation when even Honest John is afraid of it. Ooh. The fear in Honest John's face. Yeah, that vow will last 2 minutes. Dang, Pinocchio must. I'm sorry, Honest John must have a strong arm. And Gideon must have a strong arm too. What the hell did he just say? Yeah, I don't think Honest John is a qualified doctor. An ace. You should have waited up for him. Or maybe run at his pace. Now, lampwick is Italian for mouth. Now, Lampwick was voiced by Frankie Darro, and Darrow began his career as a child actor in silent films, and he progressed to lead roles and co-starring roles in adventures, westerns, dramatic roles, and comedy films, and eventually became a character actor and a voice actor. What I find interesting is that after the success of Pinocchio, Pleasure Island ended up becoming an attraction at it pretty much Pleasure Island was an area of the downtown Disney shopping, dining, and entertainment district at Walt Disney Resort in Orlando, Florida. It opened up in 1989 and up until September 2008. Its retail stores and restaurants remain open despite all the other clubs closing. Now, some of the attractions that Pleasure Island had were was attractions such as Superstar Studios, a longtime make-your-own video studio, which was replaced by Curl by Sammy Duvall in 2008. Jessica's, a store featuring the character Jessica Rabbit. Avigator Supply, a store located close to the Adventurers Club. It sold aviation adventure gear branded with the Avigators logo. It also sold Adventurers Club and Indiana Jones merchandising. Changing attributes, trendy clothing, and unusual gifts. Doodles, Pleasure Island memorabilia, hip graphic t-shirts, trendy gifts, Hammer and Fire, handcrafted jewelry, accessories, and unusual gifts. The Mouse House, Disney t-shirts, plush animals, and gifts. Suspended Animation, which had Disney animated cells, posters, prints, and lithographs. DTV, modern Disney fashion from silks and sequins to painted jeans. Music legends, clothing, books, music and memorabilia, and real finds, movie memorabilia, autographs, jewelry, costumes, and props. The restaurants that they had were restaurants such as Fulton's Crab House, a seafood restaurant which has been operated by Levi Restaurant since March 10th, 1996. The Empress Lily, an authentic recreation of the 19th century paddle steamer boat in Rocco. It was operated by Disney and named in homage to Disney's wife Lillian. Upon becoming Fulton's Crab House, the boat lost its paddle wheel and smokestacks. And other restaurants were the Fireworks Factory, a pyrotechnics-themed restaurant operated by Levi Restaurants. Merriweather's Market, a food court that operated from 1989 to 1993. Planet Hollywood, a Pleasure Island attraction that opened in 1994. Hill Street Diner, which sold pizza, hot dogs, hot deli sandwiches, french fries, and assorted salads. And Desserts, spelled D-Zerts, which is Z, which had cappuccino and espresso, pastries, frozen yogurt, and soft serve ice cream with toppings. Now, the entertainment venues that Pleasure Island had were the 8 Tracks, which was a dance club with a 1970s and 80s theme, Videopolis East, which was a new wave music place, Adventurers Club, which was a 1930s-style British explorers club that featured a staff of flamboyant characters portrayed by improv actors, BET Stage, a hip-hop and R&B dance club that was operated by BET itself, Neon Armadillo, a club featuring live country music. Celebrate Tonight, an outdoor dance party featuring DJs and cast members known as the Party Team. Comedy Warehouse, which was a nightclub which featured an improv comedy troupe. Mannequin's Dance Palace, a techno-trance multi-story dance club which featured revolving lighted dance floor. Motion, a dance club which featured top 40 music videos. Wild Horse Saloon, a country music dance club and barbecue restaurant which opened in 1998 to capitalize on the country western dance craze at the time. Pleasure Island Jazz Company, a club featuring live jazz musicians which opened in 1993. The Rock and Roll Beach Club, a rock-themed dance club which featured live bands. XZFR Rock and Roller Dome, a short-lived club where guests could strap on skates and dance to rock and roll, West End Stage, and AMC Pleasure Island, which was very much a theater. But yeah, that was a lot of attractions for Pleasure Island. It's a shame that it basically closed in 2008, but it's nice to know that the retail stores and restaurants have remained open. Oof, that was a mouthful, I said. If you have the strength. Ooh, the word jackass in a G-rated film. I like that in the original film it's legitimately beer and not root beer like in the remake. Now, the donkeys were also voiced by Clarence Nash, and he does a pretty good job doing a donkey sound effect. Now, here's a morbid fact. That Alexander is also voiced by Pinocchio's voice actor, Dick Jones. Now, isn't that ironic? Yeah, not good. Well, I think I'll lay off the beer. Well, I'm never smoking again. Uh-oh. Now, this scene either traumatized you or awakened a fetish in you. But I definitely remember this scene. I can imagine this would traumatize any 5-year-old. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Okay, sorry. This is dark. Now, Pinocchio was released during the Hays Code. The Hays Code was basically a self censorship of content that was applied to most motion pictures released by movies in the US from 1938 to 1968. And usually, one of their strictest rules was that, the villain would always get their comeuppance. And this feels ironic because, well, in Pinocchio, Stromboli and the coachman both get away with their actions. So it is kind of scary that Pinocchio is one of the few Disney animated movies where the villain actually wins and gets away with their actions. Definitely some messed up food for thought if you stop and think about it. I'm surprised they know their way back. Somehow Geppetto had time to collect Cleo and Figaro. Just gone fishing. Message in a bottle, or in this case, a message provided by a dove. I wonder if the dove works for the blue fairy. That would explain the sparkliness. Yeah, apparently Monster likes to breathe in his food instead of chewing. Yeah, the benefit of being a puppet is that you don't have lungs. So you can actually breathe underwater. Do you mind? Oh, big mistake. Ooh, Monstros has a reputation when even the fish and land creatures are afraid of him. Now, I know that by all accounts, I should have done a commentary for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which was Disney's first animated movie, but don't worry, I will eventually do a commentary for that. I sure am not. Bubbles! Oh, look at that. Patrick stowed away. As did Gary. Nope. And there he is. The whale, the myth, the monstro. Because he hasn't swallowed any fish. You only knew him for barely a day. Ooh, I think Monster just gave a malicious smirk. Oh, there he is. There's Monstro. Now, after Cliff Edwards passed away, Clarence Nash, who I mentioned as the voice of Donald Duck and Figaro, eventually took Edwards' place as the voice of Jiminy Cricket up until his death in 1985. I bet you find that pretty interesting. Well, excuse me. Apparently, Monstro was voiced by Thurl Ravenscroft, who you might know best for voicing Tony the Tiger in the many Frosted Flakes commercials, and he was also the man who sung You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch in the Chuck Jones animated Grinch Christmas special. So I guess he provided those vocal growls and roars. How a wooden puppet manages to catch a cold, I don't know, but I guess it's a kind of magic. He doesn't care if his son looks like a donkey. Well, it definitely shows that Geppetto's a good dad, for the most part. Yep, he's got an idea. But it is a smart decision on Pinocchio's end. Wait, why is there smoke coming out of my blowhole? Now, the Wild Chase score was co-composed by Edward H. Plum, and just like Smith and Harline, Plum was a composer and orchestrator who was best known for his work for Walt Disney Studios. He was the musical director for Fantasia did the orchestration for Dumbo. He composed the music for Bambi and did uncredited orchestration for Cinderella. And also did orchestration for Lady and the Tramp and Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. So yeah, he was a Disney legend, and he also did plenty of other music outside of Disney. A lot of these from obscure movies you might not be familiar with. But yeah, this that's the kind of score that contributed to winning the Oscar for Best Original Score. It's actually amazing that Pinocchio was the first animated movie to ever win such high honors outside of Best Animated Short. And this was before the Academy decided to give animated movies their due with the Best Animated Feature award. Uh-oh. This is definitely Pinocchio at his bravest, risking his life to save his father. This is personal. My question is, how did Monstro die? Did he die from an intense head concussion? I mean, that would do it. I tell you what, nobody wins with a headbutt, not even a whale. I mean, in all seriousness, a father should never have to bury his own son, and this is actually as equally sad as when the seven dwarfs were mourning Snow White when she supposedly died. This is a very serious scene, and it's very well made. You know that a film like Pinocchio is iconic when its song, When You Wish Upon a Star, not only wins an Oscar for Best Original Song, it becomes the official theme song of the Walt Disney Company, being played at the beginning of most of the movies. Still, yeah. Making When You Wish Upon a Star was definitely like catching lightning in a bottle. Yeah, Geppetto sure loves to celebrate. And because Jiminy managed to bring Pinocchio on the right path, Jiminy gets quite an honor. Oh, yeah, a real honor. Official conscience, 18 karat. 18 karat, too. The perfect reprise. And they all lived happily ever after, except for Lampwick and all the other boys that turned into donkeys. I'm just kidding. But yeah, that was Pinocchio, a film that was made 85 years ago and still holds up to this very day. I mean, it's the GOAT when it comes to Disney animated movies, and it's definitely one of my favorite classic animated movies. I mean, this film was a landmark for Disney, a real game changer. It might have had a rough start at the box office, but it eventually found success and became iconic. And so, it's an honor to talk about this film on its 85th anniversary. Happy 85th anniversary, Pinocchio. Thanks for entertaining generations of children like me and my grandparents. Anyway, thanks for listening to my commentary companion to Pinocchio. It won't be the last animated Disney film that I'll be talking about. And don't worry, I plan on talking about Spider-Man released in 2002 very soon. But anyway, be sure to like and subscribe. Don't have a good day, have a great day.